Welcome back, everyone, to the All-Star Political Panel.
Yeehaw.
I'm your host, Lauren Hunter, filling in for BKP. Rick.
Good morning.
What you want to talk about today?
Where should we go?
All right, well, like I said, let's start off with yesterday. Federal court ruled that a Trump administration family planning gag rule to cut as much as $60 million in Title X funding from Planned Parenthood could go into effect immediately.
Where was that court ruling handed down? What state? Do you know?
No, I do not.
Did you read about that?
No, but I don't know why we missed it.
I don't either.
It was just yesterday. I saw it late last night.
Huh. And now I saw the horn thing that Doc Whaley talked about the kids.
I need to go check and see if I
Well,
have a horn growing in the back of my
Planned
head.
Parenthood, they all have horns too. You just
They
can't
do.
see them.
They do. They have fangs.
What does that mean? If they continue giving abortions, what does that mean?
Yes,
they can't perform abortions, or they'll lose this period.
Yes. So my understanding is they can lose the funding exactly if they keep performing abortions.
This was directed at Planned Parenthood. Is that correct?
Yes.
And
Okay.
it was national, not statewide. Was
Yes,
it?
it's
Was
national.
It a
So
federal?
this is national. So I mean, does that fly? Does that fly in the face of the Hyde Amendment?
I'll check real fast.
Does that?
Let me add
Good
to my
idea.
horn.
Okay, yeah, that may fly in the face of the Hyde Amendment, which is, a hot button right now, with all the progressive Dem candidates. Gabbard just came out to support the Hyde Amendment, pulling it away, and she actually voted for it 6 months ago.
It's the 9th U.S. Circuit.
9th U.S. Oh well, who else, right?
No, I'm personally.
That was the federal court that handed it down.
The 9th U.S. Circuit Court handed it down.
But
What does it say,
Planned
Josh? Does it say anything
Parenthood thing?
specifically?
that didn't sound like a nice
This
circuit.
politico refers to it as a major blow to Planned Parenthood. Granted, the Trump administration's request to lift national and
That's the 11th of them. That's
The Ninth Circuit is
federal courts in Oregon and Washington State.
anti-Trump, pro-abortion.
Ninth Circuit. I'm surprised, but I'll be honest
healthy.
with you. I haven't
Me either.
researched it, so I don't want to speculate and sound like we're off to the races here. But
Right. If someone
Right.
knows, call in.
how about we talk about what also happened yesterday, and that's some of the Iran stuff, right?
Yeah.
Shooting a $130 million drone
The drone.
out of the sky.
So they say
They
we were
meaning-
on the Iranians.
Okay.
We is we, and they is they.
Gotcha. I got to get my personal pronouns down.
That we were in their territory, evidently, right?
They said that we
Over
were
their
10
waters.
nautical miles offshore, which is theoretically theirs.
Yeah,
we say we
they're
were
20
15.
miles off shore
We
or
say we were 20.
Okay.
And apparently there was proof beyond a doubt
That
the
we
Pentagon had all the coordinates.
and where were we? I didn't hear.
We were about 20 nautical miles off. So we were over the Straits of Hormuz,
Yeah.
20 nautical miles off Iranian shore, which put us in international waters.
Whoa.
Now that I think came down from the headquarters in Qatar, where they were controlling the drone, and they've got all the they know exactly the longitude and the latitude of exactly where that ship is at any time. No loss of life, but what happened?
Oh, it was an attack.
Right. No, there's no question.
Yeah.
Right.
Another attack. So what do we
Right.
do?
That's the big question.
I like to quote Ronald Reagan, peace through strength.
We got a lot at stake here.
You've got North Korea, you've got China, you've got all of those countries looking to see what our response is going to be. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. They went into the Situation Room. The president was summoned to the Situation Room. They got all of the muckety mucks together. They got the Boltons of the world, and the Secretary of State Pompeo, I think, was there. And at the end of the day, they were ready to roll.
Well, I'll tell you, my sources say,
And these are very reliable sources, I might add.
yes, they are. And they say that for a long time, the deep states wanted us to be in war. I mean, major war with Russia, that was their, if Hillary had won, we'd probably be in some kind of major conflict.
Hillary's a hawk.
There's no
Oh,
telling
well,
where
and
we would
they
be.
just want our country to go down. And they don't care how we go down. They just want it to go down and be part of the world order. So you've got Iran doing this, and you want to think, why do they do this? I think the deep state, they want to provoke Trump in any way they can, and they did it on the line where it may have been a mile or two. And so here's this ambiguous kind of thing, and they're going to embarrass Trump. He's just like Obama. He's not going to do anything. I mean, it could be just sick. So my Bill asked me this morning, well, what would you do? And the first thing I said was, do like the Mossad, go in there and blow up something real important, like their White House. I mean, blow it to smithereens, but don't take credit, just blow it up. You know?
There's two different tacks
Yeah.
that I think, based on what you said, where we can go. We can go down the deep state tack and talk about the whys and the wherefores of the big grand scheme of why everybody wants to fight.
Disregard that. Can't ever disregard it.
And
but
then
where's the other one?
The other tack is there, would it be credible to think that maybe the haughty John Kerry, who's been going over to Iran,
Haughty is a very nice word. You have spared
Rush
him
uses
what
that. Rush uses
keeping
that.
it
you spared him what he
Right.
really
The
deserved.
haughty John Kerry. By the way, did you know he fought in Vietnam? Anyway,
And took films of him saying, get this, I'm running for senator.
no, I mean, do you think that possibly Valerie Jarrett, who just came to light 2 days ago on a big conference and her face was all over the internet again and all over Twitter, do you think possibly they're working behind the scenes with their allies, the Iranians?
Yeah, sure. That's the deep state.
Well, yeah, and but that's not the big picture. This is the direct. How can we make Trump look bad and bring President Obama's administration back into the limelight to say, we knew we shouldn't have gotten out of that deal?
What did I
golly,
just say? What did I just say?
You did.
Think about it as an octopus. You got all
the
those
tentacles.
So Kerry, Jared are here, Obama, Hillary, but then, so you're saying it's not the head, but all the tentacles count. They count. All roads lead to the head of the octopus.
What I was trying to say.
I completely agree.
Yeah. What I was trying to say is that if you look at the big picture and New World Order and deep state, yeah, there's been forever and will continue to be a constant need for war. Why? Follow the money. Okay?
War's a big moneymaker.
Exactly. Munitions, all of the related, and then what happens after the war's settled? Then we go in and the same people are getting contracts to come in and rebuild everything.
That's right. War
So it's a
is
vicious-
money. Look all the way back to probably the Civil War. I mean, probably all wars. It's money.
It's
Well,
Look
think
at
about
Halliburton.
The
Look
Great
at her.
Depression before we went into World War II. World War II was what turned it around for the economy for this country.
yeah. The war machine got fired up. Everybody was making money, selling munitions, building munitions, and then what do? We look like the big heroes after everything gets destroyed, and we get the contracts to go in and rebuild everything. Who rebuilt rebuilt Japan?
Yeah, we're the thing is, remember in the speech Trump gave the other night, he said they want to divide us. Now that is very important because they're doing it on every front. They've got, we need reparations. Is that going to be the most divisive thing you've ever seen? I mean, it's just stupid. I mean, they're going to charge me for, my family never had slaves. There are many black people had slaves. I mean, it's just a mess. They're just doing it to divide us.
Right.
There's LGBT blah XYZ
They've got like
PQR.
13 letters.
They're
in that now.
they're
That's all
divided.
I'm not even joking. It's
I
like,
know, I know. That's
keeps
divisive. This is now making it divisive with the other countries. They're dividing everything. They're just taking it and making pieces and discord. And they're just.
Yep.
And then Biden said, "Did you hear him? We may have to do a physical revolution." Did you hear him?
Oh
say
yeah,
that?
he wants war in the streets.
And I bet I don't want to be Debbie Downer, negative Nancy, but he may get it.
Oh yeah. Well, he may. He may. I mean.
Josh, how are we doing on the sun coming in? Do we need to take a quick little break here?
So we can jump into.
Change things around, and then
All
maybe
right.
Richie can join us? Great.
All right. Well, we will take a small break to rearrange and let our special guest Richie join us, and we will be right back.
Richie from Boston.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the All-Star Political Panel. Now, where we left off, we were talking about Iran shooting down our drone. Let's pick back up with that. We were talking about, and BKP called. Of course, he couldn't stand to sit out of this conversation.
You gotta love it. While we were on
He
the
had to get in a little bit,
break
but-
changing, making the sun
he's
change.
calling. We were on speaker
I
and
know.
everything. He wants to be here so bad he can't stand it. But we were talking about Iran, of course, shooting down our drone. This sort of like phony attack to see how we're going to react and everything, see what we're going to do. And now this is a country that, while we were talking to BKP, they have killed. They're responsible for 25% of American soldier deaths. He said they're responsible for 25% of killing and dismembering our boys. And also on the day that John Kerry and Barack Obama went to go sign the Iran nuclear deal, which we all know about, this is a country that their citizens were chanting death to America. Now, why on earth should we be giving any sort of help to a country whose citizens are in the street shouting death to America and killing our sons and our daughters, husbands, wives? I
That's
don't
an
get it.
easy question, and it should have an easy answer. We shouldn't be doing it.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line. So one has to ask then who did it, and
Right.
why they did it, and why it was clandestine.
Trump gave him an out yesterday by saying, this could have been done by some crazy general who really didn't check what he was doing. And, you saw the reaction to that. The stock market skyrocketed when that happened. Right, Richie? Did you see that yesterday? By the way, good to see you, man.
Yeah.
I'm
thanks for having
sorry,
me.
I forgot to introduce you. This is our special
Richie
guest,
Stone's
Richie
back.
Stone, joining us.
Good to be here.
Are you related to Roger Stone?
No,
Just
no,
just
no, no,
thinking. I'd love an in with Roger.
He's from a
Stone.
long line of Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Richie, you currently serve as the head of the...
I'm the chairman of the Republican Party in Gilmer County.
Yeah, cool.
LJ.
Hey.
So
Yeah,
you
a
had
lot of
you had a
things
good convention, I trust. That's
Oh, yeah.
That's water over the dam. We're done with that.
Yeah,
and
Savannah was exciting. State convention. We have a new state chairman, David Schaefer.
Yep.
Like him?
I do. I like them a lot. I'm excited about what they're planning on doing. They have a great strategy for targeting the suburbs of Atlanta, where we had so many losses in 2018. Rebuilding a lot of stuff there, getting back to the grassroots, and really, when you look at District 9 and District 14, where we are, Doug Collins, Tom Graves area, we're kind of the model for the grassroots get out the vote, efforts, and they're going to take a page out of that book
Good.
and apply it, because we're the base of the party up here.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
before we
Exciting
change,
stuff.
we were rolling on Iran. What
Yeah.
are your thoughts?
Yeah. What would
I
you
was
do?
shocked when I heard how much that drone costs.
$130 million, right?
Yeah, how many of those we got? I think.
Gee.
130 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of
So
money
if you
down the
were,
drain
if you
there.
were, what do you think is the wisest thing for Bush? I mean, it's there's no answer. I mean, how do we know? But what's your feeling on what we should do?
Well,
What would you do?
I don't know. I mean,
it's really tricky.
it's so convoluted. The whole thing.
Like I said earlier, North Korea's watching,
Right.
China's watching,
all of 'em.
to see how we react.
And there's an undercurrent, kind of getting back into what you were talking about before the break. There's an undercurrent of folks that are involved with Iran. You know, talk about the Valerie Jarrett's, the Obama folks, and what we don't know what really went on behind the scenes, because it seems like we find out more all the time about, oh, well, it was really this much money in cash we gave them, not, you know, the sum that we originally thought, and it's new things every day. But Trump did say, you know, when he was running for president, we kept seeing video of them saying death to America, but that's since stopped. You don't see that much anymore. I think Iran knows that Trump's not playing games. And
They've got a history of pushing. And do you think the purpose of those big time pushes is to try to get us back to the negotiating table? Now, you know, Trump said, "Hey, I'll talk. Just give me a buzz."
You don't need to blow us up to go.
And then the next thing you know, well, you got the Japanese prime minister, and they're meeting with the Iranians. What do? Bam! They hit one of the ships.
tanker.
What are
Yeah,
they
give me a
thinking?
break here.
Well, I think they thought when they got concessions from Kerry and Obama that, you know, they had it on easy street, and then Trump comes in and cancels it all, and now we're seeing where their economy's back down because the sanctions are back in. So
I have a
don't know.
comment.
Go, man.
My comment is, it's another comment from my sources.
My deep state
Yeah,
sources.
I'm not gonna. No, heck no. So I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
but you got a mole on the inside.
I'm not going to tell you
Current and former
who my
officials.
source is, but it starts with the kid, and so you can figure it out. The word is that North Korea has for years been totally manhandled and controlled by the deep state. Period. And that Young was just he had no choice. He had to do what they say. Blah blah blah. So then my sources keep saying, yes, he did have his half brother killed.
Yes, he did.
And so we're horrified. And then he had those leaders that failed the talk, killed. So here's what my resource says. He says, or she says, or they say,
Gotta get the right price.
these people were still the deep state. They were still infiltrating North Korea. And I think, I may be up a pipe dream, I'm just all hope, but I think he and Trump they really do have a plan. He wants his country to grow economically, and it just could be that the people that he has let get their demise were part of the deep state, the CIA.
We're part of the controlling interest there.
and they're just getting rid of them.
Well, I mean, there's a theory too that the reason that President Xi, isn't that the Chinese?
Chinese. Mhm.
The reason, aren't they meeting right now? Don't they have high-level talks going on?
You're talking North Korea, China?
Yeah. One of the reasons is that he wants to be able to make sure that North Korea gets back on track with Trump, because when Trump and China gets together at the what do they call it? The
G20.
Yeah,
G20. Thank you. The G20. He wants to be able to say, he wants to have kind of a winning strategy to say, this is what I've done for you. Now, can you maybe go a little bit easier on the tariffs with us? I think that's just a convoluted strategy, but I don't know if that makes sense or not. Anybody?
Playing the long game.
All about strategy.
That's what he's good at. Playing the long game.
I have a theory.
Talk to me. Talk to me, oh theorist.
I know. This is not from my resource.
Oh, this is an
my
original.
own theory.
This is an original Jane. Stand by for a Jane original, BKP.
You can call me W. No, don't. That's George Bush. Call me J. Okay.
You can call me Ray J.
I have a theory that why would China and Trump be smooching? Why would Russia, now he's in pressure, Russia be smoothing? Japan, they're smooching. When they really would, everyone thinks they want to take us over, and they used to, and they may now. But the theory is that when the Illuminati, I shouldn't have said that, forget that, when the deep state, they're moving, they are not any of these countries. They have been in operation for a very long time. I mean, they start with the Rothschilds, and when if the deep state took over the world, they would be left out too. China would be taken over. I mean, no one would have authority except the cabal, the big cabal. That's just a theory. And so they're saying this is better. We don't want that to happen. We want our autonomy.
We want our slice.
And so they are, and I think Trump has made that very clear to them. They buy it. And so they're working behind the scenes to get rid of the big, huge, Rothschild-driven, what can we call it? If we don't call it the Illuminati, then what could we call it?
Just
Anything. The New World Order.
The
It's
New
the
World
New
Order,
World
basically,
Order.
yeah.
Yeah.
You just go back to that.
Organization through banking, essentially.
Yeah.
Take over through banking, the
Yep.
money.
Right.
It's always about the money. Always
It's
about the money.
All the
Oh,
money.
it's about the money.
So where are we? Okay, so we close out Iran. We're going to see what happens with that. Trump takes a step back, and he takes a more measured approach. Wants to make sure that let's think this through. Let's look at all the implications that we may face. I think that's smart. And a lot of the hawkers are hit them hard. 3 times the value of the thing, 4 times the value of that drone. And he's just going, let's just kind of see what.
I think that's where it'll lay. I don't think there's an appetite for it.
There's definitely not an appetite in this country, I don't think, for a war.
No, I don't think it ever gets through Congress.
And he ran on that, too.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure we should let it
Right?
go unanswered in any way. I'm not sure. We've got to have something.
But you almost kind of wonder
What
if he's
would
being
it
baited into it.
be? Well, of course
Is he being
he's
baited into
You
an
missed
answer?
that part. We were saying
Yeah.
he's been baited in.
Yeah.
But he still has to respond, and it was right on the cusp of 20 and not 20 miles out. So that's ambiguous. If it were 15 in, even if it were 18 in, they could say, and Trump would have to say we were too far over. I mean, I don't know.
I want to say
We gotta do
I want to
something.
say something, and then BKP, of course, he's texting me, he has to chime in. He wants to get your opinion on his re-election speech. But this is Iran is a country that understands force or some sort of firm
Dominant.
response.
Yeah.
And so I'm not 100% convinced that they're going to want negotiations, that they're going to want a peaceful solution. Although, of course, we hope for a peaceful solution because, like we were saying, this country doesn't have an appetite for war. But that is something to keep in the back. And I'm sure that's something that Trump will keep in the back of his mind.
Yeah, I don't think they want a war, though, honestly. If
no,
we're all going to speak
we don't
honestly,
want
I
a
don't.
war.
No, they don't
war,
want to go to war
no.
with us.
No. No, I agree.
And you
I
wonder
agree.
how far they will, if we don't respond immediately, or if we don't, how far they will go to be more provocative, do something else to accelerate. We don't know, of course, but
And
how
how that
far are
all-
they willing to go? And Trump may be saying, "I'm just going to find out." I don't know.
I
They want to
honestly
push the
think.
envelope. He might too.
Yeah. Well, Iran is pushing the envelope.
Well, they have been for
Yeah. So,
Years and
are we
years.
gonna?
There's a theory out there that says the reason that they're pushing the envelope is, they're in such dire straits. What do they have to lose?
Right.
Exactly.
fair.
The people are starving. Their economy's in shambles. There's some internal strife going on because of that fact. So,
And is it a vessel for them to get rid of Trump via the election here at home?
Sure.
see, that's why I'm thinking that
The old George W. Bush model of, hey, let's get in a war. We'll all support it on the left, and then once it starts, do a 180,
yeah.
and suddenly it's 1968 again.
Yeah. You touched on something earlier about the about Biden's.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You guys want to? You guys want to go
Ukraine.
there?
Yeah, I do want to go there.
The
Jane's over there like, yeah, I do.
I don't like creepy Joe.
well, let's set it up. The mainstream
Yes,
media, ABC specifically, the reporter's name was Lamas, I
Tom
believe.
Yamas.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Llamas.
Yamas, yeah.
Yamas.
Double L.
Yamas. Okay.
Okay. Came after Trump. Came after Biden. He's been grinding on him, wanting to discuss Ukraine, China, Hunter Biden, all of the above, and there's just an absolute pushback. Is this the mainstream media's attempt to one of two things: get that story behind us, so that we can move on to bigger and better? Oh, that's old news. We've talked about it. Or do they really want the crotchety old white guy gone?
Well, that's what I was going to say. If ABC, the majors, no, they're not majors, but the fake news are talking against Biden, they want to get rid of Biden. They've had their marching orders. That's what I think.
Well, you know, that could be true. I mean, okay, who's going to be the one to bite the bullet and go after him? Let's see.
Who do you think they're
ABC draws the short straw.
Yeah, right.
It's classic tactics, media tactics, taking down the leader. I don't think he's what they want. The far left, the progressive wing of the party, and it's a classic.
Do you think he's what anybody wants?
The only reason they would want Biden, the reason I thought they may be pumping Biden up and is that I believe he is a patsy. He has no backbone. He has no brain, and they can totally run him. Control him. He is a puppet.
You set me up perfectly. I'm going to read just a little quote from Hannity.
Okay.
Biden's advisors are actually now even publicly begging him, stop talking about your political past because it's a massive liability.
Oh, lie.
He has no core ideas, no solutions, 8 years of failure, willing to say and do everything to try to appease the radical Democrat Socialist Party, but is anybody buying it? Remember his Anita Hill apology tour, flip-flopping on the Hyde Amendment? He held his position. Remember, folks, he has been in Congress for 40 years.
Right.
And having to pander to the real Speaker of the House, AOC. That's what Hannity said, and I thought it was a great quote.
When you look at the electorate of the Democratic Party primary voters, I want to say like 25-30% are African American females, and then it's even bigger in the South, in the southern states when you talk about delegate counts. And Joe Biden is the preferred candidate right now. Whether it's because he's attached to Obama or just name recognition for being on the scene for 50 years. But I think it's an effort to take him down, knock him down a few pegs, because I think they know he can't beat Trump.
Well, Piers Morgan had an interview with Trump. He was a huge, Piers Morgan is, he was a huge detractor of Trump early on.
Really.
And now all of a sudden, man, this guy's come 180 degrees and he's his biggest supporter. He said, regardless of who runs, now this is just, him saying this. He seems to be somewhat informed. He said no one can beat Trump.
No.
Especially the candidate base that's out there right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you never want to assume anything.
Yeah,
but
let's all knock.
I think we see a lot of the elements of 1984 with Reagan.
When he had the landslide against Mondale?
Yeah, no one thought he would do that either.
Someone from the far left, they're going to nominate someone from the far left, they're going to eat their own and go with a leftist candidate, and that's going to even make it worse.
If we go back to Biden, what's going to hurt him worse, the Ukraine-China thing and with Hunter, or Hunter's sordid past? I mean, this guy's a train wreck.
Yeah, he's a train wreck.
When you get into it, when you get into the divorces, the paternity suits from that woman from Arkansas, being discharged from the Navy, for being a druggie. I mean,
they're going to say Hunter's the son, but Biden's got enough. He's got enough. I mean, bragging about coercing the Ukrainian
prosecutor.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm leaving here in 6 hours, and if this guy's not fired, you're not going to see a nickel. Remember that
alone. And then when you say this guy was investigating his son, that alone should disqualify him.
Right.
You know what kind of person he is. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but he's bragging about it. And what I'm thinking about is, though, I really can't figure out who would be the candidate, because I think Kamala Harris sounds like she's got it kind of together. Other people think Rush says she hadn't got a brain in heaven. I don't know if she has a chance.
I think she's being controlled.
Corey, well, all of them.
You got to remember, California is also going to be one of the early states this year. Huge delegate count for the Democrats.
Yeah.
So that could be big for Kamala Harris.
What about Elizabeth Warren? She's the one. I know. Pocahontas has been coming up though in the polls.
Now it's
if you can believe the polls.
Fake-a-honest.
Maybe
the new one.
Oh my goodness.
I think Trump would love that.
I don't think. What's everybody? Let's take a quick run through the panel.
I'm just
Biden gonna make it?
No. Well, okay. Here's what I'm kind of comparing it, I'm going to compare it to. Remember when Obama was running the first time, and you had all these Republican candidates, and there was never one that really emerged as. And finally, John McCain made it through, but there was never really one
what's the
that
difference?
It's irreparable.
was
That's
one
fine.
that everyone could kind of rally behind. And it's like that now with the Democrats. It's like they just cannot find, because they all suck.
Be all like 2012, I think.
By the way, you broke a cardinal rule.
What's that?
His name is No Name.
McCain, no
Yeah.
name McCain.
No name. Just for future reference, we don't say his name. His name is No Name.
The name
as
that
far
shall
as,
not be spoken.
Back to the Biden thing with
Yeah,
Hunter Biden
right.
and all of that. It's another example of blowback on the left, where by going after the Trump children, they made it to where children are no longer off limits, and then going after
Backfire.
Trump on Russia and all that. So now that opens the door for examining who really was in Ukraine and China, and children are no longer off limits. And like you said, you look at Hunter Biden. I mean,
Nobody's off limits
where do you
anymore.
start there?
If you have a parent in the spotlight in any way, you are fair game as well.
Yeah.
And if they don't
The
have
rules
any
have changed.
info, they'll make it up.
That's right. They will dig through every single thing you have ever done, ever said, ever thought. It's all fair game.
But as far as the predictions go, who do you think?
I don't think Biden's going to make it.
I don't
Me
know.
either. I think that's.
But
I think
then-
so that's unanimous among us.
Yeah. So, who? I don't know who's gonna. I'm gonna watch those debates.
What about
We're
Bernie?
gonna learn a lot.
We haven't mentioned his name once.
That's who I'd put my money on if I had to.
Really?
I think the polls are misleading. We all know that. We saw what he did against Hillary, where he would, like Michigan, she was up by 12, 15 points. That was the first Michigan surprise. The second one came in November with Trump. But I think he's got a strong core of support. And in a primary election race, if you have 25%, that won't leave you, you're in good shape.
Right. He's got a constituency that feels like they were screwed in the last election. And
They're motivated.
probably rightly so. So they're coming back stronger than ever in terms of his support. Now, whether he can reach out to, the periphery to put him over the top, I don't know.
Here's the difference.
Yes, ma'am.
Back then, he was the only blatant socialist. And the young people think it is panacea. It is the way we should go.
It's
Everything free. It's
Free
that-
college.
This is the
We're all gonna get free
wonderful
college.
wherever utopia. Now there are more than one socialist communist. Just call it what it is.
And he's
he's going to have.
anti-establishment.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has a lot of followers, but he's going to have some competition, and I can't wait. I want to know what their tactic is going to be. Do they turn on each other and be vicious? Are they all kind of cling together, not to destroy themselves? They've got to do something.
When Bernie ran the first time, he had something that he could hang his hat on, because we didn't have Trump as president, and he didn't have anything to fight on with all of the economic gains that's been posted over the last 2 years. So I'm just baffled as to what he can come out with to say, well, the fact that we're at record-setting territory again in the stock market, that's no good. The fact that we've got full employment, that's no good. What?
It's
Where
a
does
lot
he
easier
go?
for him to argue to keep going left while a leftist was in office than now to argue
Exactly.
against this economy.
But what
Exactly.
he's saying is,
Without a doubt.
Obama and I handed all this to Trump. I mean, that's his only thing he can say about the economy. We made it, and that is just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's absurd.
But they want to believe it, so they will. I'll tell you what one of the scariest things, the thing I'm most worried about is if they aren't making more headway, Trump's still strong, what are they going to do to really disrupt? I mean, talk about a false flag. They're that desperate, and so I worry how they're going to create havoc, big havoc, and blame it on.
Well, here's a wild card, though. The fact that there are no longer super delegates, which kind of maintained order within the party.
Yeah.
That's one thing they did.
And there's so many candidates, 20
23 or
call it
26,
20,
yeah.
Right. We'll just say 20
Yeah.
for the sake of
round numbers.
Easy subtraction.
So 20 people are going to split all those delegates. No longer any super delegates. So what are the chances they go into? I think they're having it in Milwaukee. They go into convention with no one with a majority. We have a contested floor vote, like it's polk or something in the 1850s.
Yeah.
And I think that's a realistic possibility.
Yeah, it's going to be. There's going to be so much fodder for speculation over the course of the next 18 months. It's going to be unbelievable.
And can you imagine if it's like what happened in '68 after Kennedy died and
in Chicago,
right? And what
the whole
happened
world
outside,
is watching.
right?
Riots, everything.
Just a complete self-destruction. We
Yeah.
always hear the Republicans are divided and it's a civil war, but I don't know if we don't have the same thing in
Well,
the Democratic Party.
Biden, you remember when Daddy Bush stood up there in the UN and said, a new world order.
I'll
It is
never
a
forget it.
good thing. It is a good thing. Well, Biden's just floated physical revolution. He floated it as sure as anything in this world.
They're just deep
Talk about a
staters.
dog whistle, huh?
Yeah.
Thank God we got Trump on the other side. Did anybody watch
Yeah.
the speech the other night?
I think
Yes,
we
I
had
was-
God
Oh yeah,
on
we
our-
talked about
Yes,
that.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
and
and-
BKP. Like I said, he's even though he's not here, he's still here. So he's been
Thank
texting
goodness.
me, and he wants to get everybody's opinion on the speech.
Yeah,
So,
well,
Rick,
I mean,
what was
Jane,
yours?
Jane and I did the show for Brian on Wednesday, and we did
We
devoted
spent 30 minutes
a whole-
at least, or
yeah.
maybe the whole hour.
Yeah, a whole hour
on the speech.
with Josh's help, talking about the speech. And again, I said Wednesday, the highlight to me was notwithstanding all of the promises kept. I mean, you could march through that and count all the promises kept. The highlight to me was the beginning with Melania. Can that woman wear yellow? To quote Rush Limbaugh, can that woman wear yellow? Wear yellow?
That woman can wear anything.
Anything.
Let me tell you,
Very elegant.
and represents this country and the president so well. I mean, she's just so classy.
Yeah.
And you think of what we've had to deal with. But and then the other thing that was the highlight was Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I mean, you talk about another class act, one that was available to that man 24/7 because of her position, trying to run a family with her husband and 3 kids under 10 years old. It's no wonder that she just said,
The way she's been treated too. I mean,
it's
Yeah.
just awful. We covered that. But what about you? Highlights from the convention or from the you know what I said?
From the
That's when my
I
comment.
misspoke, but
don't,
you know
don't
what?
step on my comment.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
go ahead. What's your comment?
Yeah.
What do you want to make your comment?
I was kidding. You can
No,
step
no,
on
you
anything.
know where
I-
I'm going. You know where I was thinking because we talked
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
My takeaway, in the general sense, is so huge to me. I've seen every one of his rallies. He's fabulous. People stand up and yell. He stepped up not 1 notch but 2 notches. I mean, it was above what he's ever done. He was saying what they have done. He said the emails. I mean, he laid out where they have broken the law in no uncertain terms. He laid it out. And he said, I will never let you down. They are trying to divide us. And I had my notes. I should have brought them. The third one, I can't remember. That man is serious. And then he elicited from the crowd even more response than he's gotten. He has stepped it up. I mean, it is, and I believe the American people are going to get so far behind him.
Yep.
we actually had a watch party in LJ, and
Was it well attended?
well, yeah, that's what I'm getting to. Is that it was kind of a late noticing. Went out from the state party. Hey, we're going to try to organize some watch parties. This was maybe 2 weeks ago Friday, so about a week and a half to plan. Threw it together, and I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting a whole lot as far as people coming to a restaurant to watch a speech on television. We had over 50 people there by 5:30.
Wow.
At River Street Tavern, which is a lot of you know River Street Tavern in LJ. It's not huge, so that 50 seemed like
50
200.
seemed like 500. Yeah,
It's one of Biden's tricks,
Right, absolutely, and folks hung around and we watched it. And I think that was my main takeaway, is just the enthusiasm, not only in Orlando, but we had watch parties throughout the state, and they were all very, very well attended. Senator Gooch, I spoke to him last night, and he went to one over in Dawsonville. He said they had a huge turnout. So rural America especially, we've been engaged the whole time. That's something that I think a lot of folks discount going into this next election year, is how many people who voted in 2016 who aren't locked into the everyday like us, but the average rank and file voter who are completely locked in, because Trump has a way of doing that, of keeping people engaged and interested. And even a lot of the so-called never-Trumpers of the time are now on board, and I think it's another thing.
Piers Morgan, for one.
I mean, if Piers Morgan can hop over,
right?
He finally got his eyes opened up. The scales are off.
Came off.
BKP touched on during the week the same thing that you were saying. I know he went to a watch party in Canton. Some folks that he likes to hang with, and I don't know if he just went for the free dinner, but he said it was like being on the property, being in Orlando, being in the Amway Dome.
Yeah.
Because every time they would say either CNN sucks or USA, the people locally in the watch parties would be chanting right along with them.
That's what we saw.
That's pretty cool.
Clapping at on the applause lines. That it was like being there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You know what was brilliant? I think what was brilliant, because he is incorporating America, the people, into the government. You're the reason I'm here. I don't owe anybody anything. When he took the vote, do we want to do Make America Great Again? Do we want to do Keep America Great? So he says we're going to vote. So immediately, I was watching my own reactions to what was going on, and immediately I said, man, I get to vote. I mean, I'm part of the crowd. Really. I mean, think about it. And then he went into this and he worked them up. It's just like when we used to do pep rallies. I was a cheerleader in high school and college. You did that. In a pep rally, you'd ag them on, and get ready for the big, whatever, not ag, but you'd build them up, which is what he did. Brilliant.
He's a natural showman.
He knew what he wanted the answer to be,
You're right.
He is.
You're right. And Rush touched on it the other day, and I quote him a lot because I listened to him, and I think he's brilliant.
Absolutely.
But he said some of the only people that can control a crowd, like myself, for an hour and a half, is Donald J. Trump, and he does it methodically. He doesn't just introduce everybody at the beginning of the show, my family members, dun dun dun, get that out of the way, and then go into some monotone drone. What he does is he mixes it up. He'll say, he'll be 20 minutes in, he'll say, and then we need to recognize the great so and so of such and such.
Right.
Look at what he just accomplished. Thanks for being here. Stand up.
Right.
And
Makes him feel important.
They are. Yeah, he does.
Exactly.
I want to say this, and being from the younger generation, you have the sort of stigma is, everyone in the younger generation is liberal. And that's not necessarily true. There are tons of people out there my age that are conservative. And the feeling that I get now is that people are excited to be American again. They're excited to be in this country. We went through that period of 8 years where it was like
the apology tour.
Exactly. People are apologizing for being American, and now everybody is excited again.
Well, the Great Depression's over.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You just look around.
Yeah, physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And I think, like you're saying, with millennials and folks under the age of 35, it was tough during those Obama years because there weren't a lot of jobs available, and then you hear folks criticize, the worst generation ever, but times weren't very good, and now it's like the floodgates have been
They're
released.
even good for the left, and when it gets down to the bottom line, they don't want it to go back like it was,
I agree
because
with
they're
you.
making money
Right.
too.
And that's where you're getting a lot of your converts.
So we got
like you said.
about what I was alluding to, the big disaster, the economy. If they can hit that before the election, if they can bring that down, that could be a real
They'd love to see the stock
issue.
market.
Yeah.
Before we make room for Jesse, how about give me your thoughts real quickly on on when you think, do you think the grassroots, the fact that Trump is on the ballot, will that, like BKP thinks, will that possibly be able to drag the House back
I think
to
so.
the Republicans?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a district by district basis,
Right.
But I think a lot of attention is going to be focused on a lot of these moderate districts, and what we got to remember
Is it going to be a coattail swing, though?
the people who put the Democrats back in power in these moderate districts did not vote for Democrats to go up there and do Russia and the Green New Deal and play games.
Conspiracy.
And since then, we found out that Russia was a hoax. So anyone who was on the fence there now knows that. So yeah, I think they're on board with it because of the economy more than anything. And I do think it's going to have a coattail effect. And I think it's going to be, like I said, 1984. I mean, I don't knock on wood again, but I think if things stay the way they are without anything drastic happening, I think it'll have a huge effect.
Well, Trump demonized the left in his speech and said, "Woe be to us if they get in power,
Right?
if they control it, because it's gonna go south in a hurry."
Well, just imagine the retaliation of, like Rush says. Can you imagine what it would be like after, oh, you gave us 4 years of Trump, so now you're going to be made to pay.
Right. Now I'm sorry, but we have to wrap it up because we've got to make room for Jessie and give her some time. But thank you all, of course, for being here. Thank you all for watching the All-Star Political Panel. I think we've had a good discussion today.
Did we do you proud, BKP?
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a text message in a minute. But anyway, like I said, when we come back, we will have Jessie Barton here with us from North Georgia Senior Living.
The lighting on.
With Community Relations Director from Cameron Hall and Ella J. So stay with us. We will be right back.